My name is Guylaine Maroist. I am a filmmaker and producer from Montreal. I made a film about some veterans in Canada who had been guinea pigs in the nuclear test in Nevada. So 50 years later, most of these men were dead, but the few remaining men were ill and they wanted to have answers to what they had experienced, and they wanted compensation as well for all the harm that had been done, and nobody was listening to them. You know, the government was even saying that this mission or that they went to did not exist. So we made this film, Eric and I, and you know, the film was launched, it won many awards, and most importantly, the government, the Canadian government, decided to compensate these men and to really tell their stories, and it changed everything. Now they're part of the museum, you know, the War Museum in Canada. We had a nuclear power plant in Quebec. It was an old, dangerous nuclear power plant, and the government wanted to renovate it. And a lot of doctors were saying, well, by the way, this technology puts a lot of radionuclide in the waters, in the sky, and around these nuclear power plants, there are more leukemia cases, especially among children. Actually, there had been a very big study in Germany, and that's partly why in Germany they closed down all their nuclear power plants. So we followed these people, these doctors, these scientists, in their quest to shut down the nuclear power plant. So your question was, what did you discover, you know, when doing these things? Well, I discovered also that there are many, many good people, well-intended people, who are not willing to be bought by money, who are not, who really try to make good in the world, and it's a real privilege to be able to film these people in what they're doing. And I think documentary filmmaking is really also about that, trying to make the world a little bit better. Again, you know, we were seeing that it's back in 2015. It seems like ages ago. So many things have happened since 2015. There was the election of Donald Trump in our continent, in North America, which was incredible. The pandemic. And we saw with social media also, we saw the good in social media. We all know that there are a lot of good with social media, but we saw also the evil of this technology, or how bad it can, you know, radicalize people and spread lies. So at the first place, I didn't know, you know, when we started to doing this film, I was not aware of all that. But I knew that I was noticing that women were being targeted. A young girl had committed suicide in Canada after a threat campaign, and it was really shocking. So I kind of felt there was something very wrong about this, and that it needed investigation. And we needed to find the story. When you decide to make a documentary film, it's not about a topic. You know, you have a topic, but you take this topic, you make research, and then you find your story. Sometimes it's very difficult to find the story that will be compelling and in which you will understand, you know, and experience something much more on the emotional level, you know. So I knew we had to take the time to find a good story. And after the research and while doing the film, we realized that the problem was that when these women were talking, they were not believed. People were telling these women that it was not so bad. Come on, you know, just turn off your screen, or just get off Facebook, and these kind of comments. And they go to the police, and the police trivializes. They don't file complaint. So the result of this is that the aggressors never get punished, never get blamed. So we need to change that. So anyways, that's why I decided. It was intuitive, really, because in 2015 I did not understand the magnitude of the problem. Now I do, and I'm very worried because I'm seeing young women that don't want to go into the public space anymore. Some women who hesitate in going in politics because they fear to be threatened, and it's becoming common. So it's important to be aware of that and to try and stop this phenomenon. And since I'm a filmmaker, my best way to contribute is to make a film about it. So when was the time to release the film? We didn't think much about the film anymore, you know. We just wanted to get it out there, and we were so surprised about the reaction because the media spoke about it a lot in Canada, still talking about it through different ways, and the people were there, and we're so grateful that people went to the cinemas and came to see and to have the discussion as well. And I guess the timing was good because probably a lot of people experience or feel this discomfort and don't know how to name it. They don't know what to do. And parents are preoccupied with their kids. And so the timing was good. And I'm happy about the response, very happy. The producer of the film, Eric Ruel, last year said, hey, Guylaine, Léa, you have to write down what you want to achieve with the film. What are the changes you want to see, concrete changes. So we did, we were like overwhelmed with, those 7 years of working in this but we pushed by Eric, we noted what there was to do, so education of the kids. Also, the police officers need training because they're the ones who see the women who have been threatened and say, oh, well, no, it's not that bad. So these people have to be aware. So formal training, and also the social media giants, they have to take responsibility for all the hatred that's going on online, and they're making money with it. So we need a law. So we asked these 3 things, and our governments have responded. We were invited by the Minister of Public Security. They have a true intention of bringing all these contents to the high school students. Also, they're studying now the formal training of police officers. And the Canadian government is also trying to make a law, and they have been consulting us. I'm feeling these are very good intentions and that we should see changes. If they don't happen, we will be pushing for them still, Because I think all the countries in the world have to tell the web giants that they cannot just do anything for profit. That, the state still exists, and that we need law, and that we will penalize if our values are not reflected on those platforms. So when we started making this film, we knew it was an international issue. It's not, I don't think it would have been, if we would have taken just 1 woman in Canada or 3 women in Canada, it would have kind of, it would have portrayed like, it would have been a Canadian problem. But making all the research, we realized that it's a global phenomenon, and it needs to be addressed like that, because a woman in Italy, a woman in Denmark, a woman in the United States or in Canada, they all experience the same thing. Whether they are 50 years old, whether they're 15 years old, it touches women at all levels. And there's also we share the same social media platforms. It all happens on the same social media platforms as well. So it's a global issue. I think all governments have to act if we don't want to see women's rights regress. And this is a real possibility.